Hello and welcome back to my channel, Storybook Crochet. Today we're whipping up an adorable Amigurumi seashell that's so easy you'll want to make a whole beach full of them. These are perfect for summer vibes. You can use a smaller yarn and hook and make keychains out of them, or just to show off your crochet skills, even if you're a total beginner. So let's grab our supplies and maybe a pina colada and let's make some seaside magic. For materials today, I am using a worsted weight for yarn. For my hook size, I am using a 3.5 millimeter or a USE hook. You're also going to need some scissors, a yarn needle to weave those ends in. You'll need 2 eyes if you're going to add eyes to your project, and these are 12 millimeter. You're also going to need a small length of white yarn if you want to line the eyes with that. And then you'll grab a small amount of fiberfill to finish off our project. So let's grab all those supplies and we'll get started. Alright, so to get started with our seashell, we're going to make it in 2 different panels. So we're going to make the front panel first, and then we'll make the back panel, and then we'll connect both of them together. So to start off the very front panel of our seashell here, we're going to start by making a chain of 12. Alright, and once you have your 12 done, we're going to start in the 3rd chain from our hook. So we're going to skip 1, 2, and then we'll work first into that 3rd chain there. So we're going to start by making a double crochet in that chain. So we're going to yarn over, find your 3rd chain there, and insert your hook into it. Grab your yarn and pull a loop through. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. You'll then have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops, and that is our first double crochet. Next we're going to make 3 more double crochets across our chain, so 1, 2, and 3. So we'll have 4 total double crochets. Alright, once we have our 4 double crochets, we're going to make 2 half double crochets. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain there, pull up your loop. This time we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that is your first half double crochet, and then we're going to do that one more time. Alright, so we have 4 double crochets and 2 half double crochets, and next we're going to make 2 single crochets. So this time we'll just insert our hook into the next chain, pull up our loop, yarn over and pull through both loops to make our first single crochet, and then we'll do that one more time. And then for our last 2 chains here, we're going to slip stitch in each of them. So you'll insert your hook, pull your loop through, and then pull that loop through the loop on your hook. And then we'll do that one more time. And then at the end of our row, after we have all those stitches complete, we're going to chain 1 and turn our piece over. So for row number 2, we're going to slip stitch across, but we're going to do it in the back loop only. So you can see the tops of our stitches here form little V's. Normally we'd go under both of those loops there, but for the back loop only, you're just going to insert your hook in between the V and just go under that back one. So that's working in the back loop only. So you'll start with your first one, and it's kind of tricky to get in that first stitch sometimes, but you'll find your first stitch that you made, or your last stitch from the last round, and you're going to make a slip stitch in that back loop only. And you're just going to do that across until you have a total of 10 slip stitches made. Alright, so now to start row number 3, we're going to go ahead and make a chain of 3 and then turn our piece over. Alright, so our first stitch is going to be worked in our chain. We're going to skip the first 2 chains and work our first stitch in that 3rd chain, or the very first one that you made of your chain. So we're going to start by making a double crochet in that 3rd chain there. Right, and then we're going to make 4 more double crochets, but instead of working in directly into our slip stitch, we're going to work in the 3rd loop, and it's this horizontal bar here that's behind our slip stitches. We're going to work each stitch across in that 3rd loop there. So you'll find your first loop, and then you're going to make your next double crochet, and you'll continue that until you have a total of 5 double crochets made. Alright, once we have our 5 double crochets, we're going to make 2 half double crochets, still working in that 3rd loop. And then we're going to make 2 single crochets. And then for our last 2 stitches, we're going to be making slip stitches. So 2 slip stitches to end row number 3. All right, and then once you get to the end of that row, you're going to chain 1 and turn your piece over. And this time we're going to slip stitch across in the back loop only again, and we'll have 11 slip stitches across for row number 4. All right, at the end of row number 4, we are going to chain 3 and turn our piece over. So you can see what working in the 3rd loop makes that look like. It just leaves this ridge that we want for our seashell look. We'll do that every other row. So for row number 5, we're going to start in that 3rd chain again by making another double crochet. So skip the first 2 chains and double crochet in that 3rd chain from your hook, completing our first double crochet of the round, and then we'll go back to working in that 3rd loop. So you're now going to make 5 more double crochets working in that 3rd loop. All right, and that will give you 6 double crochets made for row number 5. So next we're going to make our 2 half double crochets. And then 2 single crochets. And then 2 slip stitches. And then you will chain 1. All right, and this is what our seashell should look like so far with our ridges sticking out like that. All right, turn your piece over. For row number 6, we're going to slip stitch across in the back loop only, and this time you should have 12 slip stitches made. After your 12 slip stitches, this time we're just going to chain 2. All right, so we're going to stop increasing for each row, and this row will just keep it the same number of stitches as the last row. So after your chain 2, we're going to turn our piece over. So we're just going to be working in that 3rd loop only for row number 7, and we will not be working into the chain like we have been. So for our first stitches, we're going to make 6 double crochets, only working in those 3rd loops only. Okay, so after your 6 are made, you'll make your 2 half double crochets, and then 2 single crochets, and then 2 slip stitches. And then you'll chain 1 and turn. Alright, so we're again going to slip stitch in the back loop only for row number 8, but this time we're only going to make 11 slip stitches. After you've made 11 slip stitches, you should have 1 stitch left over. We're just going to leave that last one unworked. So next you're going to make your chain of 2 and then turn your piece over. So for row number 9, again we're going to work in the 3rd loop only, and this time we're going to start with 5 double crochets. Alright, after your 5 double crochets, we'll make our 2 half double crochets, and then 2 single crochets, and ending with our 2 slip stitches. And then chain 1. Alright, so we have 2 rows left. So for row number 10, again working in our back loop only, we're going to make 10 slip stitches across. After your 10 slip stitches, again you're going to have 1 stitch left unworked. We just won't work into that last stitch there. So then you're going to make your chain of 2 and turn. So for our last row, again working in that 3rd loop only, we're going to start with 4 double crochets. Alright, after your 4, you're going to make your 2 half double crochets, two single crochets, and 2 slip stitches. Alright, so the main part of our shell here is finished. We're just going to make a row along the bottom. So you're going to chain 1 and have the bottom facing up, and then you're just going to evenly crochet 7 single crochets across. So you'll just make 7 of them. It doesn't have to be perfectly spaced, but just fit 7 in there. Alright, and once that is complete, then the main part of your shell is finished. So for your first shell, or your top shell where your face is going to be, I've already finished one off here, you're going to go ahead and just weave in both of those ends, okay, and then we'll put the face on. If you're on your second shell, just leave your yarn a 10 hook attached. We're not going to finish the second one off. So for the first one, go ahead and weave those ends in, and then grab your eyes and I'll show you how to put those on. Alright, so again I am using 12mm safety eyes here, so you're just going to take your first one, and then I just put them 2 sections in. So here's one section and go into the second, and just go about 3 or 4 stitches up from the bottom to place your first eye. Okay, and then I just repeat that on the other side. So go 1 section and then 2, just making sure they're even across. Okay, and then you'll just place your backs on. And if you want to line your eyes with white, you'll want to grab a length of white yarn and your yarn needle. And then I just come up through the back of the piece to the top of one eye, pull your yarn through, and then I come about 3/4 the way down and go down back through the back, pulling that snug against the eye. And then you'll just repeat that for the second eye. Okay, once you have that how you want it, I just tie that off in the back with a few knots in your yarn. All right, and then you can just cut that excess off. So there we have the front panel of our seashell finished. So at the end of your last row on your second piece, you're going to go ahead and chain one. Then we're going to match the wrong sides together of our seashell, making sure you're matching up the bottom rows together. So the sides that you want facing out, make sure they're both facing out. Then you're going to turn it over so that the eyes are facing you, and this is the front of your piece if you didn't use eyes, whichever one you want to be the front. So then we're going to single crochet across the bottom, going through both panels. So you'll go into your front panel and through the same stitch on your back panel, grab your yarn, pull that through and make a single crochet. And you're going to do that until you have 7 single crochets across the bottom. All right, once you have that connected, we're going to go up the side here, just matching your stitches together and just crochet evenly up that side, making sure you're going through both panels to make your single crochets. And then once you get to the top, just keep going around that first little bump there at the top, connecting each stitch together. And then once we get to our first row of slip stitches here, you're going to slip stitch into the top of those 2 rows together. And that just helps to keep the shape that we're wanting. Okay, so for each little bump here, I put 3 single crochets in each little section there at the top. You'll just want to make sure you have the same number on each one so that they look uniform. And then you'll just slip stitch into the next slip stitch rows. So just continue that across the top until you get to the last little bump here, and then we'll go ahead and stuff the piece and then we'll finish it off. All right, so now that we have that finished off across the top, just go ahead and take your hook out for a minute and then go ahead and grab your fiberfill and start by stuffing it all the way to the other side first, and then just keep adding more until you have enough stuffing in there. All right, and once you have that how you want it, we're just going to go ahead and continue what we were doing by single crocheting through both sides to finish off this last side here. All right, so once you've made your last single crochet, we're going to slip stitch to the very first one that we made from the beginning of this round. All right, and then you'll just pull that out a little bit, cut a shorter tail there, and then you'll just weave that into the back of your seashell. If you are interested in a 10% discount at Crochet.com, the link to that discount is in the description below. So again, that's for Crochet.com. They have a lot of great yarn and crocheting tools to help you with your next project. And there you have it, one super cute beach ready amigurumi seashell. I hope you had as much fun making it as I did. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring the little bell so that you never miss a stitch.